zone 1, which is going to be everything from the top of the head here to the top of the parietal ridge, which is determined by putting the comb on the side. I did mention that earlier in the video, but if you're just now getting here, these are small tips and tricks for success in creating haircuts that are short but appropriate for the head shape that you're working with. Okay? Alright, so now we're going to start in the back, but before I do that, I'm going to change up my cutting technique a bit. We're not going to be doing the short point cutting for now. We're going to take 1-inch partings across the top of zone 1. I'm going to try to lower this down just a bit because it's really important to make sure that you're working in the space that's appropriate for you to see and work as an artist. Okay, if this was a chair, I would just pump her down a bit. You always want to be working from your eyes through your chest. That's going to be your best working space. So just really making sure that you're square with your work and that you're working in a space where you can actually see. If you need to readjust your body, readjust your chair, do just that, because as a professional, I know that you are always trying to produce your best work, and these are just small tips and tricks that will really help get you there. So pulling this out, this is our first section of zone 1, or I'm sorry, zone 3. And we're going to pull it vertically from the head and do some deeper point cutting through the top to really start showing off the texture that we've been creating. When you're going in and cutting on the way out, large point cuts, staying steady with the guide from the first. Now you can see a little bit of the change in the texture there. It's really got a lot going, and I'm super, super enjoying it. And I hope that you are too. Sally seems really interested. Okay, same thing as before. Take a small bit from your previous, and we're going to start working this out to keep some length through the top. Minding our guides. You can see that I have this at a bit of an angle. And that's totally intentional. You'll be doing that as well, creating some graduation and just adding a little pop and pizzazz in the top. Lots of opportunities for texturizing and really customizing this haircut for your guest. So now that we've got that, we'll move forward to the fringe, and once we've got our fringe and then we have our length in the back, we can connect those and really be intentional about our design. Okay, measuring out our fringe is simple as laying the comb across the top of the head, seeing where it leaves, and we'll be creating a triangle space from the recession of the hairline to that point. Doing this cut, we will be utilizing a large triangle for the fringe and starting our design with a smaller triangle inside that fringe space. I love the way that 12-in-1 really just gives you control over the hair without weighing it down or being in the way or being too overbearing for the color service that we're going to perform in just a little bit. Pulling this down, I've determined I want this to fall right about her eye level, around her nose. We're not lifting it up. We're not doing any kind of elevation like that. We're just going to keep it straight down there, as straight as we can, keeping our tension even and going in with those point cuts. Wonderful. And now we're going to pull in the rest of that fringe that we had determined. Pulling this down. Now we are going to add a little bit of length by keeping it about a 1/2 inch longer than our previous section. This will give us more opportunity to customize this later on, but it's giving fun feel now. All right, so now that we have like this little bit of hair left in zone 3, we are going to do our 1-inch subsections using the front of our fringe as a guide and meeting up with the portion in the back. It's going to be a good time. So I'm going to start in the back, I'm going to move forward, we'll do our point cutting, and we'll meet up at the fringe where we will be finishing our customization around the face. Keep in mind this cut is built for you as an artist to really show off for your guest and create something that's especially built for them. If you have any questions about anything, maybe our zoning or subsectioning, let me know. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. I'm super excited to be here doing this class for you guys, and I can't wait for you guys to share with me what your favorite part was, what was a new technique that you learned, or a new styling agent, or just a tip or trick, something that was meaningful for you. Minding that second knuckle, tension, saturation, these are all key things when it comes to creating cuts that really work. Fantastic. Alright, so you can see here how our cut looks now that it's roughly finished. We're going to go through and do some deep point cutting through the top. We're going to do some dry texture cutting near the bottom. Or not dry, but just something that's going to, maybe she is dry, LOL. Let's get her resaturated. So just opening up this top, you can see it does have that length to it. It's got that nice bit going on, and we're going to just really nip off that top corner that we created with some large, deeper point cuts, just to create more intentional texture. Mind you, again, this is when we're cutting on the way out, cutting on the way out, cutting on the way out. And the flip that you see there is so easily achieved with that swivel handle. It's one of my favorite things about it. Okay, taking that tip. Fantastic. What a wonderful day. I'm so happy to be sharing it with you guys. I'm not sure where everyone is from, but I am from Michigan. And right now it's pretty chilly outside. It's probably snowing as we speak. Okay. Oh yeah, this is really coming. I am just in love with this. I know that I have long hair and it's pinned up right now, but let me tell you, let me tell you, the American urge to chop my hair is real. Like, LOL. So here we are. Again, larger texture in the top. And this is the decision that I'm making based on where I want the cut to go. There's fringe here, so I want to keep it a little less dense, a little light, a little something around the sides here. Okay, we're going to go in and do some texturizing, making sure that it just falls how we really need it to around our guest's face, okay? Be very intentional. The reason that we're going in and doing this with our shears instead of with our texturizing blades is because we really want to maintain the integrity of the hair. We really want to be intentional about what we're doing. When you see me doing things like this, it's a technique called axis cutting, where you are cutting with the axis part of the shear, doing more of a motion instead of slide cutting or razoring kind of in a way that might reduce the integrity of the hair over time. Again, we are creating a look that is built in for longevity. She doesn't want to come back every 4 weeks, but she does want something that's short and sassy and livable. So just going in, doing more of that. Again, being intentional about the way we piece it out. And then we will be doing our color as well, I mentioned. Okay. All right. I'm very excited about this. Just checking for symmetry here, making sure that everything's coming together appropriately. Oh yes. Yes, baby. All right, so let's talk about the color. I've opted to use, like I mentioned, the Ultimate Blonde. It's a blue powder lightener. It's going to do a little bit of that toning for us. It's built to maintain the hair and really try to keep its integrity as much as possible. It's amazing. Mixing varies, again, everything with Rusk does, and it gives you so much creative power as an artist. It's my favorite thing about it. All right, I'm going to do about 10 grams. For this one, I chose to use the 30 volume because it is a mannequin and she has that previous color on her. If she was a guest that came into the salon, I would make considerations about what her hair situation was. Did I want to use the Eliminate? Did I want to use a gloss treatment? Did I, what is it that she's looking for? Did she want to go lighter? Did she want to go darker? And how do you feel as a professional she needs to achieve that look? With this one, I will be doing a foiling technique, just to keep it quick and simple. Gloves always, because I value my hands, and so should you. All these little tips that we're talking about in these videos is just small little everyday reminders, something as simple as putting your seatbelt on when you're driving in the car. Just stay on top of it and stay ready for it. Because we're going for a lived-in look, I'm not going to be putting any foils right on the top. As you can see kind of from this side, I have been cutting and it's mostly dry now, but there's just small little pops of color in there, nothing that is near the top or anything that's going to like look super grown out. In fact, when we finished this lightening service, I didn't use a gloss deposit on her. I opted to use the color depositing conditioner, something that she can take home and freshen up whenever she feels like she wants to do it. Okay, popping that chair back up since I'll be working in the nape. to apply her color. Let's do a little rough drying, and during this time you guys can tell me about what you enjoyed most about the cutting techniques and which ones you can really see yourself using, or perhaps which ones you might have challenges with in the salon. Yeah, this is wonderful. Let me just show you guys really quickly on this mannequin. This length here in the back is so customizable. The whole framing and fringe on this cut is really something that you and your guest can decide what's going to work best for them. So let's get these foils in here since we have done our rough dry, and it will be super simple. Let me step away for one moment and grab my foils. Thanks for waiting so patiently. I'm here and ready. While we're putting in our foils, I like to determine what I'm doing based on zone. Zone 3, Zone 2, Zone 1. And I'm going to do 2 here, 3 here, 2 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 foils is all this is going to take. So it's 14 foils for the full head. We'll be working this one on a diagonal back. 2 diagonal backs in Zone 1. Again, not keeping anything too close to the part line because I'm not going to want something that is noticeable when the grow out hits. I don't want anything near that center part line or too close to the top area. I just want something that's going to look somewhat natural, maybe a little sun-kissed, a little natural feeling for her, to feel sassy, to feel freshened up, but again, non-obligatory on the visit to the salon. Always just feathering in towards the top, avoiding any harsh lines that might show up if you applied a little differently. Going in for that second foil, you can see I've just got them back to back on the diagonal back into Zone 1. Taking a small slice and avoiding the hairline. What's kind of exciting about this one, when I was determining with my guest how I wanted her color to be, I opted for slices and weaves. So when I get to Zone 1, my foils will be weaves, just to give it, again, that soft feeling that is a lived-in look, nothing super harsh, and that's going to make her come in any sooner than she wants. Okay, moving into Zone 2 for the application. might be used to having your guest look down, but really make sure that when we start, their head is in a natural positioning. That's the way we're doing this cut, to maintain the length in the nape so that we can customize that area for her. Okay, these will continue diagonally. 3 in this side of zone 1, or I'm sorry, zone 2, excuse me. And when we're applying our color, or our lightener, let's say, in our foil, we don't have to worry about getting it, obviously, in zone 2, that's where we're lightening at. But do avoid something too close to the scalp. We do have our foils, we don't want anything bleeding over, and we do want it to have a nice, soft, feathery look for her. Nice. Okay, just feathering it up kind of close, but again, nothing exceeding our foil, nothing that's going to bleed out or get on her scalp. This is not an on-scalp lightener. We do have one with Rusk. That actually we have 2 with Rusk. One is a cream cream lightener, and then we also have our dust-free powder white lightener. Okay. We'll go through. We'll put 2 more in zone 1, and then we'll get into, 2 more in zone 2, and then we'll get into zone 1. So what types of lightening techniques do you guys prefer in your salon, and what have you found to be your most successful project? A lot of times you'll come across artists that are strictly balayage and they don't necessarily like to use foils, but I think it's really important that we all learn how to do both so that we can really maximize opportunity for ourselves and for our guests. So I really am excited to be here working and learning and growing with you. Thanks for the opportunity to show you something new and perhaps teach you something you didn't know before. Or perhaps just reminding you of a tip maybe that you had forgotten, like wearing gloves, or keeping your body level with your work, or just making sure that you've got your elbows elevated when you're point cutting through the top. Oh yes, wonderful. When we're foiling, always make sure we have even saturation all the way through. Nobody wants to have anything that's spotty inside that foil, okay? I like to mix this lightener with a roughly 1 to 1.5 ratio. It does give opportunity for variable mixing ratios, much like the other Rusk products. That is what I prefer to work with. You can feel free to practice a little bit, see what's really popping for you, and what you're most comfortable with. I'm going to be sectioning off and avoiding that top part line, but I do want to put something a little bit close, nothing real crazy. And again, all these ones up here are going to be weaves. So here, we'll section off of zone 1. Then we'll get in here in the middle of zone 1, near the front. Remember, this is going to have 2 foils in this section. And we'll leave them here. Fantastic. Keeping that rhythm consistent with what you have in mind as an idea for your artistry. This one, like I said, I'm going for something really lived in, but still with little pops of color. So I chose to put slices in the back and weaves in zone 1, or I'm sorry, zone 3. Jeez. Slices in zone 1 and zone 2, weaves into zone 3. We also did light point cutting in zone 1 and 2, and then we did our deeper point cutting in zone 3. Pop her down just a little bit so I can have access to the top of my work. Fantastic. This will be our 7th foil, and after this I will pause my video, process, rinse, and then I shall return. That's fantastic. If you guys could